Yes, you made it. It's the Retirement Compass Radio Show with Zach Vancas and Jackie Selby. Zach, it's your turn to do the program. Hey, Zach.
Second week of the month.
All right. I'm excited about that.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it more often. That's the goal.
It is?
Yeah, it's the goal. Yeah, if it were up to me, Jackie, this would be the Zach Vancas show featuring Stonebridge.
Oh.
But we're working on it.
We're working on this, huh?
Yeah. We'll get there.
All right. Well, I see that you have some new advisors potentially on. I was looking on the StonebridgeIWM.com website.
We're expanding as always. Still no one in Lincoln. It's just Chad and I, Tim, and then, the occasional guest appearance by Eli. But right. Grand Island, we got Ian, and then we got Gavin, the mystical Gavin starting, who I have not met yet.
Oh, in Grand Island?
Grand Island. Yep, Ian's in Grand Island.
Okay, and then what about Mr. Turnus?
Ton Jurnis.
Yes.
Soon to be CEO of Apple. Yeah, he's still out there in Grand Island.
Okay, yeah, I was giving him grief about that. He says, no, really, it's a different family. I go, no, really, it has to be the same family.
I sent him I saw a headline when we were on our honeymoon that, Tim Cook has announced he's officially stepping down as CEO of Apple, and John Turnus is taking over. So I, of course, sent a screenshot in the Stonebridge group channel and congratulated him on this accomplishment.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah. So it's a big deal.
It is. Speaking of social media.
Speaking of social media, right. Nice transition.
And media companies.
Yep. One
of the big shifts to social media wasn't created for how we spend our money, but it changed how we compare ourselves financially. Do you ever have people that come in, Zach Vancas, and say, how do I compare to another 63-year-old couple?
Yeah, I would say almost every meeting people come in and it's always a comparison game of either assuming they're way better off than they are, or oftentimes what I see ironically with the couples that are doing very well, they have this conviction that they're not doing enough, that they're not going to be okay. And like, well, the average person's got tens of millions and I've only got millions, right?
Oh.
No, it's not, like 59% of Americans are in credit card debt and over half of Americans couldn't afford a $1,000 unexpected expense. So like, you're doing okay. It's such a comparison game.
Yeah.
Which is something we're always trying to help people navigate by just, let's look at the math of what you're spending, what's your income going to be in retirement, and do you have enough? And if the answer is yes, okay.
Great.
Like that, we can't let envy be the thing that drives the plan. Everyone always likes to say everyone's motivated by greed, or greed's running the country. And I think in reality, it's envy more than greed that really drives people to motivation.
Well, we're going to talk about the emotional side of your money here on the program today. Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. And 866-295-5146 is the phone number, 866-295-5146 to reach the team. All right, can I just lay out some questions for you and see your reactions?
Let's do it. Start the Q&A early.
All right. Might as well. Here's a discussion point for you. Has social media changed the definition of success?
I think it has, like significantly. I think it has, because there's always been the goal of keeping up with the Joneses, like throughout time. That's always been in the goal, right? You see your neighbor, they do a renovation, they put new siding on the house, new Mercedes is parked in the driveway.
That's
what
right.
have you, right? Like you've always been keeping up with the Joneses. Now,
how do they have a Mercedes?
Right. Like you always got to compare yourself to those around you. And like Dave Ramsey talks about, before the social media era, one of the advantages that you had is, you may see your neighbor's new Mercedes in the driveway. Mm-hmm. But given that you're your next door neighbor, you also hear him and his wife fighting about the debt.
Oh, yeah.
You see the debt collectors come to the door. You may even see the car get repoed, right? Like you get to peek behind the curtain. Social media doesn't allow that. You only get a curated view.
Right.
Yeah, you're only going to see what are they doing that's good, right? The vacations, the Lamborghinis, the Rolexes, so on and so forth. And the thing that's a lot easier to hide on social media is the fact that guy leased that Lamborghini and behind the cameraman's the dealership. Or he borrowed it, or it's rented, right? And there's services where you can go and pay $100, $200 to take pictures next to a luxury supercar. Like you don't even have to lease it.
You don't even have to drive it.
It's just there for photo, right?
No, sir. Really? I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. huge, especially like LA where all the influencers are,
Oh.
influencer, quote, quote. Yeah, it's such a curated view of success that's what leads people to think, man, I am not doing okay. You know, I look on Instagram or I look on Facebook and all these people are going on vacations, they're buying supercars, they've got $50,000 watches on. And like, I hate to tell you, like I said before, almost 2/3 of Americans are in crippling credit card debt. Like that's not, everyone
real.
does not have a Lamborghini. That is not the case. It's pretty bleak out there for most people on paper, but you just get a curated view of it.
That's very interesting. I like your choice of words there. It's a curated view. When I watch influencers, and I just try to stay off my reels as much as possible, but I know that what they're presenting, half of it is just complete and total falsehood, BS.
Yeah, it's so fake, especially like I get, of course, a unique view into this in that this is what I do is I sit down with people all day, every day and talk about their money. And so like I get a peek behind the curtain. I get to see like what is the average person actually doing. And it's not buying Lamborghinis and Rolexes and going to Italy. Okay, it's not.
Right.
It's just not.
It's just we're trying to
I've
get along.
never had a client with a Lamborghini.
Don't you think people are just trying to get along in this life?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, yeah, but it's become such a motivation to just show off. Like that's because, like I said, I don't think we're motivated by greed nearly as much as we're motivated by envy. I just don't. And so it's comparing yourself to others and then in turn looking better to others than you actually are.
Now, this is another one because we're talking about the emotional side of money, maybe the psychological side of money and how we deal with ourselves and our income and so forth. But do you think it's a matter of the wealthy people you don't see on there, right? The true wealthy people are driving moderate vehicles, right, and have moderate show of wealth.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey did the largest study of millionaires, and if I remember, I could be wrong, but if I remember right, the number one car on that list of like the 10,000 millionaires they surveyed was a few-year-old Toyota. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're a billionaire, you can go and buy a luxury supercar and it's nothing to you. And, at that point, you do you. But, for the average person that's got a couple $1 million, $2 to $5 million in the bank, maybe even up to 10 million, everyone assumes that these people are just wildly wealthy and living the high life. They're not. Like they aren't. We've got plenty of clients in that category of, 1 to 10 million, and they drive moderate cars. They live, and a lot of that, the causation of it is the reason why they've got millions of dollars in the bank is because they didn't go and finance a $150,000 car.
It's because they drive a moderate car. That's why they still have money.
Like we're on the topic of cars. Cars are a just money pit, right? You are borrowing money. You are paying interest to buy a thing that will always be worth less tomorrow than it is today. You're losing money twice. The value of the vehicle goes down. Actually, 3 times. The value of the vehicle goes down. You're paying interest. And then you're paying the cost to maintain the thing, put gas in the thing, put tires on the thing, so on and so forth. That's not how you grow. That's how you do the opposite.
Yes.
And so, it's just the people that spend and spend and spend and new clothes and designer purses are the ones that just don't have the wealth because they spent it all on trying to look wealthy.
I always think about the people who I grew up around, and the guy of moderate means, or maybe even the guy who doesn't take that great of care of his car or his lawn or something. He's probably sitting on a stack.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me that I would say that there's like a complete correlation there of, and I'm sure it's not a perfect correlation, but just the more modestly somebody lives in actuality, the more money they actually have behind themselves. Because you can, trust me, on a decent income of $50,000 to $70,000 a year, you can look rich. I mean, you can go and you can buy a car with 0% down that you finance, for 40 years at 15% interest rate. I mean, you can go buy a Lamborghini, right? If you finance it long enough and put nothing down.
Yes.
just because you're driving a $200,000 car doesn't mean you have $200,000 in the bank. In actuality, it means you owe somebody $200,000 plus interest. And it just becomes this cycle that people get stuck in of, I want to look good, not be good.
I want to talk to you about a couple more of these items to do with emotionally driven perception of success coming up. But we have to close this segment. Do you have any quick closing comments, and we'll get some folks in to see you?
I think my closing comment is focus on you. Don't worry about what other people think. A great example that I love is just after COVID, when the stimulus checks came out, Bernard Arnault, the guy that owns Louis Vuitton and a bunch of other luxury brands, briefly became the richest man in the world because everyone got their stimulus checks. And what'd they go do? I'm going to go buy a Louis Vuitton purse, right? That's what we're not doing.
Okay,
Don't do that.
Maybe that's not retirement success. Here's the number for Stonebridge, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. There's also a very interesting landing page that Stonebridge has set up. It's called StonebridgeTaxBill.com. What about the taxes on this money? So it's StonebridgeTaxBill.com. Go check that out, and we'll be right back on the show.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
All right, welcome back to our show, brought to you by Stonebridge Wealth Systems. This is the Retirement Compass Radio Show with Zach Vancas and Jackie Selby. I'm not one of the very experienced advisors at Stonebridge. I'm just the girl that hosts the radio show, by golly, and also on our YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com, the tube of you, and please enter in Stonebridge Wealth Systems. And at the very top of that is a banner. You'll see some of the material sprinkle in from the algorithm, but if you actually click on the banner and then subscribe, we would love you for it. So that would help us out a lot. Yeah, they want to get more people watching. But you can see our silly outfits from day to day. Okay. I thought we could. I know you're not wearing one.
I got a white dress shirt on.
I know. You look very fine after your wedding, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So one of the really cool and most fascinating financial movements out there, I think this is cool, but I don't think it's doable for most people, and that's the FIRE movement. Have you heard about this on the TikTok?
The Tic Tac, yes,
Yeah.
I have. I'm more of a YouTube Shorts kind of guy, but
Okay.
Stonebridge Wealth Systems.
Yes.
But yes, I have heard of the FIRE movement. The Financial Independence Retire Early movement has definitely grown a lot of traction recently.
Now, this is funny because I feel like the people who are able to save aggressively are living at home with their parents, because this is extreme saving.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that we've seen, and there's two points that I want to lean in here. You know,
Okay.
A, why is it becoming so popular? And then B, can that extreme savings become unhealthy? Like, can that be bad? And like, yeah, the FIRE movement, it's growing a lot, I think, because we've watched previous generations. When I say we, I mean like us, Gen Z, millennial, whatever you want to call me. I think I'm Gen Z. Maybe I'm millennial. I don't know.
You're right on the border.
Right on the border.
Yes.
We've watched the previous generations, you know, work their entire lives, work way late, and become so dependent upon their income. And I've talked about it on the show before, lifestyle creep. And what that is you early in your career, let's say you can live on a $50,000, $60,000 income. And as you continue to get raises, you continue to buy bigger houses, bigger boats, bigger cars, so on and so forth, and you spend that money. So there's no world where you can go back down. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it traps you. So you get to a point where you're in your early 60s and you can't retire because you can't afford to. And this isn't the case for everybody, of course, but for a lot of people, it's because they're living in a 6-bedroom house, a 5-bedroom house, and they're driving 3 new cars. Well, okay, if we drove a couple Honda Accords and got a 3-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom house because the kids have moved out, you could have retired years ago. But that's not the situation we're in. So I think it's growing in popularity because people want that financial independence. That doesn't mean being rich. That just means you've got that flexibility of, if I don't like my job, I can leave. Like, I can just go somewhere. Now, does there become a point where this aggressive savings becomes unhealthy? It does. Jackie, you had mentioned a lot of people are able to do this by staying at home with their parents.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of situations of that. I got a client who's 19, I think, 20, and he is staying at home with his parents still. But what he's doing is his parents allowed, like, yeah, you can stay here on one condition, that you are violently saving towards buying a home. Mm-hmm. What I usually see happen, though, is kids are staying at home with their parents later. And instead of violently saving toward a home, they're thinking, man, that's $1,200 a month in rent I don't have to pay. Well, that just means I can go to Scheels and Buffalo Wild Wings that much more often.
Yes.
Or get a $1,200 a month car payment at 20 years old. And like I said in the last segment, have fun paying on that for the rest of your life. And so that, like, can it become unhealthy? It can become unhealthy in that the aggressive savings, you can go too far the other direction, where, okay, yes, you have this extra $1,200 a month and you go and you spend it on dumb stuff. Or B, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to buy new clothes. I'm not going to have any friends. I'm never going to do anything, because every dollar saved at the age of 20 could become, I think it's $81 on average by the time I retire. So I'm just going to spend nothing. I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to have no hobbies, no friends, no nothing, so that when I'm in my 80s, I can sit on my pile of millions of dollars alone. That's not worth it either.
I don't think that's very emotionally doable or secure.
No.
You're going to have no friends and no family by the time you're 80.
Yeah, and so like there is a middle ground to that, right? Like having a savings rate, 15 to 25% is definitely a really, really, really good savings rate. And if you're able to achieve that and you've still got money left over, like, you have to have room for entertainment. You have to have room for discretionary spending. Like, a lot of people look at us financial advisors and assume that we're going to tell you no to everything, right? You should never spend money. You just need to invest all of it. And that's just not the case, because at the end of the day, you're saving for something, right? And it's hopefully more than just, I don't want to work anymore. And you got to have a plan. A, you got to have a financial plan of, okay, how am I going to get to retirement? But B, what are you going to do when you get there? And what are you going to do before you get there? Like, there's more to life than working, saving, and then dying.
What risks do you think early retirees face?
One of the biggest early retiree risks that I see, it's one of two things. The financial side, a lot of it is A, you didn't plan. I mean, right now we're having to plan for a 20, 30-year retirement compared to, like, we always say Social Security. One of the problems with Social Security is when it came out in the 30s, you had to be 65 to take it, but life expectancy was 60. So most people weren't on it. That's why it's stressed now, is people are living 20, 30 years longer than the plan designed. So now you have to plan for a 20, 30-year retirement. There's a lot of variables that happen in 20 to 30 years. Well, if I'm planning for a 40-year retirement, that's even more complicated. A. B, healthcare. You're not Medicare eligible until you're 65. And if you're not working, you don't have healthcare insurance. Now, you've got the marketplace, but anyone that's looked at the marketplace for more than 11 seconds knows that's not the greatest thing in the world. And so that's a whole other variable. Like, it's almost its own planning category of getting from retirement age to 65. And then you get to start the second segment of retirement with Medicare.
It's too much time. What are they going to do?
Yeah,
for healthcare?
That's my third point too. And okay, you get the healthcare figured out, but what are you going to do in retirement? And it's not a financial risk, but it's a major problem that I run into. Is so many people are so desperate to get retired, and then do what? Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people put a lot of purpose in what they do at work, and they really struggle upon retiring, because that's where their purpose went.
Right.
It's like, I'm not going to have kids, or I'm going to delay kids, whatever have you, or I'll only have one kid even though I wanted more, so that I can retire early. And then you get there, and now what? If you didn't have a plan, I don't know if I'm going to travel. I don't know if I'm going to, you know what I mean? They don't have a plan. And so it kind of becomes a very lonely, like I said in the previous example of, okay, you're sitting there on your pile of millions of dollars by yourself. And that's just not worth it.
What fun is that, right? You can call Stonebridge to talk about a reasonable retirement plan at 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146, with a great team of experienced advisors, 11, 12. Are we up to 13? We might be up to 13 advisors.
There's a bunch of us,
It's getting there, Stonebridge. You guys are well-trained, well-informed, 866-295-5146. I was thinking that the person who wants to retire early and doesn't have a plan, I mean, even if you're a doctor, doctors are high earners, but it takes a long time for the schooling.
Yeah, it takes a long time for schooling. There's a lot of debt that they have to pay off.
Right.
And so there's a lot more that goes into it than just the income. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we see with those high cost fields, doctor, dentist, attorney, so on and so forth, is like, yeah, okay, a doctor especially if you're a specialty, they get out making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but they don't start working until they're in their mid-30s. And they've got $800,000 in debt to pay back. So technically they're not breaking even until they're in their 40s. Whereas most people
got to keep working.
A 20-year head start on them.
Sure. That's how we're designed, is to work.
Yeah. And so that's why it's so important to have some type of a plan of how
many times are you going to go to Machu Picchu, if you retire at 40? What other, are you going to ski, follow the snow your entire life, New Zealand for half the year and Colorado for the other half?
You could.
Except Colorado got no snow this year.
No, they didn't. We went skiing in March, I think, and it was a little bare. But, another side of the FIRE movement that I really like, and something that I've definitely specifically recommended to a lot of clients that I work with, is not necessarily going from your giant big corporate job to sitting at home golfing and watching YouTube all day, unless it's the Stonebridge Wealth Systems YouTube channel. But you get to a point of independence where, like I said earlier, if you don't like your job, you can leave. And instead of going from, I'm going to work, 40 hours a week in this job I hate, to nothing, it's maybe that independence for you is, I can afford to quit my job and go work at, the local plant nursery in the summer.
Yes.
And do something, or go volunteer at or work at a zoo or an animal shelter.
At any age, you can do these things.
Yeah, you get to a point of independence where you don't have to say, I don't get to see my family as much as I want. I hate what I do, but I need to pay my bills. I have the independence to do what I want.
I'll give you that.
And maybe I'm not making a lot, but I've put myself in a position where that's okay. Mm-hmm. I don't need to.
I like this.
So, that we see that a lot with retirees. Mm-hmm. They want to retire at 62. That healthcare component's just that needle in the side. And it's like, okay, go get a job at Home Depot. Mm-hmm.
Or like Tim's dad did, and drive the people around on the from the service department at the auto dealer to their home. And
right,
then back.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Shuttle at the car. Yeah, something you want to do. Go work at Earl May. I don't know if they offer benefits, not specific advice, but do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Get a few bucks an hour, get health care, and you've put yourself in a position where that's all you need.
Right.
And you're happy.
Right. I like that. All right. I need to break here. This is the number to reach Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Be right back now.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
I've got Zach Vancas here, and Zach hanging out in the Lincoln office these days, right?
That's true. I'm always in the Lincoln office. Not these days, all days.
All days. All right, all days. And I'm Jackie Selby on Retirement Compass Radio Show. Do you want to talk to me about why we call it Retirement Compass Radio Show? What are the points on the compass that Stonebridge, what are the foundational beliefs?
Yeah, so Stonebridge, we developed our proprietary process. It's called the Retirement Compass, and it's made up of 5 key areas of planning that we see, and that is income, investment, taxes, healthcare, and legacy or estate planning. So income planning, that's going to be things like, when am I going to draw Social Security?
All right.
I have a pension at work, but I could do a lump sum. Which one should I take? This whole NPERS, Nebraska Public Employee Retirement System, there's this talk of like, I can take some of my money, put it into annuity and get some income. What is that? That's income planning.
Okay, good. I like this.
Investment planning, that's what a lot of people attribute to a standard financial advisor of, hey, I've got some money, I'm going to put it in the stock market. What stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, Bitcoin, what am I buying, right? And that's important. That's the growth engine of your retirement. But I think focusing on just that is a major disservice because there's so many other areas that you can really influence, A. And B, the stock market, that's the thing that we have the least control over. Like that's the one thing we can control how we invest, but trying to decide is this or that cola soda company going to go up more or less next year? That's anyone's guess, right? And so, saying that that's the only thing you should focus on, I think is a missed opportunity.
And so many people do, though, don't they, Zach, that they think a retirement plan in general is what stocks they own.
Yeah, and so many people come in here and meet with us, and like if they're comparing us, let's say, to other financial advisors, their current financial advisor, it's, well, what returns are you going to get me? Well, A, I have no, I can't legally, I can't guarantee returns, but B, in actuality, I can't. Right? I don't know what the market's going to do, no more than your current advisor knows what they're going to do. But are you currently looking at your income plan? The age you draw Social Security can be a difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's important, and that's something you can control. Tax planning, the third point on the retirement compass, okay? What's going to happen when you hit required minimum distribution age? Is there something we should do to get in front of that? Should you be doing qualified charitable distributions once you hit age 70 and a half? That's a major difference if you're already donating. There's all these tax things that I know I can control, that I know I can change. This is a landmine you will hit. And if we do X, Y, Z, we won't hit it. And it'll make a difference of X dollars, right? Those are things that I can black and white control. And that's where we like to focus is let's control the controllables, right? I don't know what the stock market's going to do tomorrow.
Right.
And to be fair, I don't know what Congress is going to do when it comes to tax legislation either. There's good guesses and there's educated opinions. We're $39 trillion in debt and have a $2 trillion a year deficit, and we have the third lowest tax rate in U.S. history. Those kind of point one direction. But who knows, right? So these are the things that we can plan for, but they're things I can control. Same thing the last 2 points, healthcare legacy. Healthcare planning, Medicare, there's a whole lot that goes into selecting your Medicare. Like, are we doing supplement, advantage? What are we doing there, right? That plays into a lot. Do I keep working to keep healthcare? What do I do if I retire before 65? There's a lot there. B, okay, your income is what determines your Medicare premiums. You have this thing called an IRMA, income-related monthly adjustment amount. That's what your Medicare is based on. And if you have major income spikes from, let's say, required minimum distribution, that breaks everything on the healthcare path. So those are things we need to plan for. And then legacy planning, right? What happens when I pass away? Where's everything go? And how does it get there, right? We want to focus on, there's more to it than just pointing the finger of, hey, you get it.
No, there's so much, especially for our ag clients.
Yes, ag clients especially. And what we want to do is we want to put together a plan. Everyone associates estate planning. It's two things. It's death and taxes, right? I look at it as choice and control, right? You get to decide how this is going to work, where it's going to go, and how it's going to get there. And what we want to help you do is put together a plan to make sure that your hard-earned assets, the things you worked your entire life to build, go to the people, places, and organizations that you care about, not the IRS.
866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Okay, we are getting down and dirty on this segment. Thank you for coming back to our show, Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. And I have Zach Vancas here. Everybody's a financial expert online nowadays, right? Scrolling social media and 5 minutes later, you know everything about the subject matter: investing, taxes, real estate, retirement planning, even economic predictions. But how sound is that advice? So let's talk to Zach about some very sound advice. And social media is really messing with us, isn't it?
Jackie, you're gonna have to hold me back this segment, because some of these TikTok, Instagram, financial, right. I can't.
I know I can't. The guy who was on there, and it seemed like it was multiple channels, if you will, and he was telling everyone to claim Social Security at 62, no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm. Dave Ramsey says that, yeah.
He does?
Yep.
And then invest it. Well, what if you're still working? They're going to claw it back.
Mm-hmm.
You won't even receive it.
There's so much. Like Dave Ramsey, for example. With Dave Ramsey, here's my opinion.
He doesn't have a license, for one thing. He's not licensed as a retirement planner anymore.
Correct. Yes, he doesn't have any of the financial credentials, but I will give Dave Ramsey the credit of he is the master of getting people out of debt. He has helped millions get out of debt. And you can't deny that. Like, he truly does do a lot of good. And a lot of his advice is decent. And it's rooted in, like, the fundamental problem with Dave Ramsey is he is talking to millions. And I am talking to one when I'm doing it, or two, a couple, when I'm doing a meeting. And giving broad advice, you're never going to be able to tailor that and make it accurate for everybody, right?
I see your point.
There's some people, it is true, you need to take Social Security at 62. Other people, you need to take it at 70. And other people, it's literally anywhere in between that. Like, there's so many calculations that go into that, and lifestyle, and annual earnings test, monthly earnings test. Like, there's just so spousal benefits. Like, there's so much that goes into that you can't make a blanket statement like that. So you have that problem. And like Dave Ramsey, again, I think he does good and he means good. But then you've got all the finfluencers, financial influencers. They drive me up a wall with their advice about, and we can get into the details of all this, but like, how do you day trade? Or let's do this big real estate debt arbitrage. It's all garbage. I cannot stand it. We're going to start a drop shipping business and make $48 million a minute. Like, I can't, Jackie. I cannot deal with it.
I know. What are those called? It sounds like multi-level marketing when they say, here, just follow this. And they point to a web page and go, start a so-and-so, a Pinterest page, and don't let any of your friends onto it. I don't know what that means.
There's a lot. I mean, most of it's fraud. Like, no, I shouldn't say most of it's fraud. A lot of it's fraud where, like you said, it's a multi-level market, or a multi-level marketing scheme. Is a politically correct way to say a pyramid scheme. Yeah. It's an Amway type situation. And
even though, man, Amway makes some great vitamins and soap. Go ahead.
I've heard, I had an engineer at a company I used to work for who sold laundry detergent for Amway, and he actually did pretty good. Not specific advice.
No, no, by any means. It's not, I mean, it is based on who is above you and they get a take or whatever. Yeah. But that doesn't dismiss the fact that they have good products, but anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they sell them for a reason. Now, where it really, I would say the fundamental problem with the finfluencer culture nowadays, because Amway's old. True. The difference now with finfluencers is their money does not come from you doing their game. Their money comes from, just buy my course. And I'll teach you everything you need to know about day trading, right?
What?
Doesn't matter if they're successful, but you paid for the course.
You paid for the class.
Yep.
Oh, my golly gee willikers. Okay.
Also, I
feel so uninformed.
Yeah, so they're uninformed. The people doing those courses are also uninformed.
Okay.
They don't know what they're doing. They're not licensed. Right. They're just making a YouTube course. The other way they get paid is just the marketing. Like, it's just the face. Having more views on YouTube, you get ad revenue. And so if you're putting out all this content about how to become filthy rich and retire at 30, well, people are drawn to that. And so they're going to watch it. They're going to subscribe. They're going to like. They're going to comment. They're going to share. And you're going to get that exposure. And brands may sponsor you. You may just get ad revenue from YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, etc. That's the goal. Not necessarily to give the right advice, but if you get enough faces, enough eyeballs, the money follows.
Okay, so that's you just answered my question about why are charismatic people automatically seen as credible?
There's a lot that goes into that, and most of that's just psychology. I mean, we like people that look good. We like people that look like us. People are just naturally drawn to that, and just charisma in general. People look at as trustworthy, right? Because for the most part, people that are bad at lying, you can tell they're lying. They're uncomfortable. They're, they don't look right. They're fumbling. Their story's not clear. And if you can be articulate and precise and attractive and sound good and say things that people want to hear, we're just naturally driven to like that.
To listen, and if they're good storytellers and it's simple what they're saying.
Yeah, whether it's right or wrong, we're just driven to be attracted to that because it looks good, it sounds good. Well, then obviously it's good.
Right. Well, it's so funny that because the media, we're falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. The screen media.
Yeah.
If you want to talk to somebody face to face who really does have experience, you need to call Stonebridge. I thought that was a really good place to put your number. 866-295-5146. Talk to somebody face to face. 866-295-5146. You could also check out our YouTube channel. Well, it's not mine. It's the Stonebridge YouTube channel, and it's Stonebridge Wealth Systems on YouTube. Or if you just want to see all the media. And you can tell if Tim is lying because he doesn't. You can check out stonebridgeiwm.com and look at all the TV shows. Tim and Jeremy do the TV shows.
And we're licensed.
And they're licensed, right. And you actually have valid licensure.
Yep.
That's the important part. Okay, it's 866-295-5146. Are some of these influencers making more money from the course? Are they actually investing? This is what I want to know.
I doubt it. Like
okay.
I doubt that they're making more money doing whatever thing they're telling you should do. And like one of the fundamental.
They probably still have a job and everything.
Yeah, and sometimes it does work. Like a really good example is, and this is not specific advice, is the real estate world. I think is you see a lot of it where it's the arbitrage of I'm going to buy a rental property. And I'm going to, everyone says, you got to buy assets that create cash flow. So go buy a house with like 0% down. You put a renter in there and your renter is going to pay the mortgage. And then after 6 months, you do a 80% cash out refinance. The money you get out of the house, you use as a down payment to buy a second house. And you put a second tenant in the second house that pays the mortgage on that. And you rinse and repeat. And you end up owning dozens or hundreds of rental units. And that's how I became a billionaire. And you should do that too. Okay. Here's the problem. That worked a little bit when we had like 2%
interest
mortgages
right.
and interest
yes.
rates were nothing. And
right.
we didn't have the whole COVID thing where you weren't allowed to evict tenants. Like it's one of those, if it works, it works. Assuming you can get a tenant in there that pays your mortgage. They don't leave. They don't do damage. When their lease is up, they do leave amicably with no damage, and you get somebody in there the next day who's also paying the mortgage
hopefully
with no issue. They never miss their rent. COVID doesn't come along, and they become immune from getting evicted. You don't have a variable rate mortgage, and interest rates suddenly go up like we saw after the pandemic in 2022. Like, if any of those happen, done. It's over. Like, done. And there was a lot of people that were doing that on YouTube and saying, this is how you get filthy rich. And a lot of those people just mysteriously stopped posting. Why? Because in real estate, it's really easy to make a little oopsie. I mean, it's really easy to make an oopsie in all facets of life. The problem with real estate is there's a lot of zeros on the end of that oopsie. There's no $5,000 oopsie. It's $500,000. Like,
right.
And
that's
so
really a good point.
They're done. And like the very first segment we were talking about, you only see the curated good side of it. Like nobody's going to post a video, hey, I've been doing these debt arbitrage real estate videos for the last 5 years and I went bankrupt. Here's my story. That's not a YouTube video that you're going to find. Dave Ramsey, I guess, will tell you that. But that's it. Like,
They don't post the bad part.
no, like day traders are another great example. 70 to 90% of day traders lose money. Like, they lose money. But you don't see that. That's just all
No,
over
because
TikTok.
that's not what they're bragging about. Do you think that fear has any part of this? Is fear play a part in financial content, quote unquote content? I despise that word.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a content creator. What does that mean?
People are motivated by fear more than I think they're motivated by success. And
Okay.
you see that a lot,
Oh.
less in the real estate example I gave. And again, do not do what I just said. But you see it a lot in the stock market, right? And this comes into the buy my course or watch my videos. Fear sells, right? When you put out a YouTube video that has a headline, the market's crashing, the 2026 crash, we're 60 days away from the crash. Ray Dalio says we're in a changing world order, the dollar's collapse, right? People click on that. People don't click on a YouTube video titled, if you dollar cost average into the S&P 500 for the next 40 years, you'll make on average X percent.
That's
Like, people don't click on that.
no, because that's another point I had written down. Is that's wisdom. Do they click on wisdom? Does wisdom sound as sexy or as exciting as the fear and the glitz?
There's all sorts, like Graham Stephan's an example of a YouTuber that I've watched, and it's become a meme on the internet where he'll be talking about, now he still uses, what's funny is he uses a clickbaity title, but then in the video is like, so this is what everyone's saying, but in actuality, here's what's happening, and my recommendations is to dollar cost average into the market and XYZ, right, is what he says. And it's become this meme of, Graham Stephan, no matter what happens in the market, no matter what's going on, he just tells you to not panic and dollar cost average. And he's like, yeah. Yep, you did it. Like,
That's what.
correct. That was the intent.
Okay.
Like, you see it, the media does it as well, not just social media. Like, everything's a panic. And you hear the headline. My favorite headline is, "This time is different."
Oh yes.
No, it's not.
No,
It-
it isn't.
Nope.
All right. I got to stop us there. Let's get in touch with Stonebridge Wealth Systems for some real, advice that's not glitzy and it's not false. 866-295-5146, and it's not fear-based. 866-295-5146 for all your financial needs.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to stonebridgetaxbill.com.
Okay, I have somebody here who delayed their retirement until 70 to maximize Social Security, but now they're worried that they spent their healthiest years sitting in Zoom meetings instead of enjoying their life. So financially, maybe it worked out, but how do you talk to people about the reality of waiting till 70 to claim their Social Security benefit?
Yeah, in contrast, earlier in the show, you said some influencers will tell you got to take it at 62. Others
No matter
will tell
what,
you,
take it.
No matter what, yeah. And others will tell you no matter what, you got to delay till 70 because you get more money. And you just outlined the exact perfect reason why that's not necessarily the best case. And again, it depends entirely on you. But, most people would rather do their traveling and do more active things earlier in retirement, like not when they're in their 80s. And so, figuring out, okay, at what age do I need to take it? Again, there's so much that goes into it. When are you retiring? So on and so forth. But it just, you can't know if you don't have a plan. And you have to figure out, okay, in retirement, how much am I going to spend? What is my goal of expenses per month? Now, whether that's paying off the debt I have, entertainment, lifestyle, whatever, having a good expense plan figured out of, okay, on average, I'm going to spend X amount per month. And then where am I going to find that?
Okay,
Where does it come from?
Right.
And if you figure out, okay, I need $8,000 a month, okay, if my spouse and I both take Social Security at this age, that'll be $6,000 a month, and then I'll take $1,500 from my pension that I get from the state, and then we'll pull $500 a month out of our retirement accounts, and boom, there's $8,000. Okay, that means I can retire and take Social Security at this age? Now we know, right? Like, there's our answer. And if you don't do that plan, you don't know. Like, you can't, you're guessing. Yes, Social Security is worth more at 70 than it is at 69, 8, 7, 6, 5, so on and so forth. But did you need to wait that long? And without knowing your expenses or knowing your plan, you don't know.
So get the expenses down and work with a professional on this. It doesn't cost you anything to meet with Stonebridge and one of the very experienced advisors, 866-295-5146. It's a free call. It's a free visit. No contract implied just because you sit down, 866-295-5146. And it could be a virtual call too, of course, because people live all over the place. All right. I like this. I like the way this is going. The one example I was thinking, Zach, is I had a friend, they're still alive, who the husband waited till 70 because he's older than she is. George is older than Mary, and he wanted to set her up for a larger Social Security, once he passes, because she didn't work that, hard or long because of raising the children, et cetera. What am I trying to say? She had a gap in income.
Yep.
And I think that that's pretty common. So maybe if the man wants to work until 70, but if you're single, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. And again, not specific advice, but I see that quite a bit where if there's a significantly higher earner or if there's a big age gap, a higher earner delays because the way spousal benefits and Social Security works is when one passes away, the survivor gets the higher of the two, but not both.
Right.
And so there's justification to increase the higher earner's benefit, knowing that one of you will be on it much longer. There's still way more that goes into that calculation. So again, that's not specific advice, but that's the logic behind that. Right.
Very good. Well, call and get the specific advice for your specific situation, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge. How about this? A retiree checks their investment accounts more often than their blood pressure. And somehow both numbers are stressing him out. He's got $900,000 invested in enough income to cover the basics, but the market swings are ruining his mood. What are some ways that retirees can avoid letting this volatility ruin their daily life?
Yeah, I think that, again, goes into having a solid income plan. And in this example, it sounds like there is an income plan and that, okay, his basic income needs are all met outside of the investments. And if you're in that situation, that's the one you want to be in. And if not, then in the example I would give here is let's carve off a portion of that $900,000, put that into a fixed income instrument, like such as an income annuity, where, this amount goes in, and I know I get this amount every month no matter what. Boom, income met. If the market gets cut in half, I'm paying my electric bill still, I'm paying my water bill, I'm eating, I'm paying the insurance. Like, I'm good. Don't need it. The investments are just extra on top of that. But if that is a situation and he's in, and the volatility is still bothering him, then yeah, there's a lot to be said for, okay, well, maybe we need to carve off a percentage of that and still put it into some type of a fixed instrument, not income necessarily, because if he doesn't need income, he doesn't need it. Put it into like a fixed indexed annuity where you're getting that principal protection and some growth potential, but you protect that principal. And then just less volatile investments. There's an art and a science to personal finance. And like the math will tell you that if you're invested more growth focused over a long, long period of time, you will have more growth. But that's based on time horizon and obviously goals. If you can't sleep at night, probably not the route we're going to take. Then we need to be more conservative. Even though the math may state, yeah, you could probably be a little more growth focused. Another analogy I like to use is if you've got to retirement, your income needs are met, and you've got $900,000 lying around that you don't need, you've won the game. Like, you did it. You made it. And to use a football analogy, you've got the ball, you're leading, just run the ball.
Right.
Like,
thank you.
Don't throw it over the middle into double coverage and throw an interception. Like, don't do that. Just you're good. Like, if you want to coast, you can coast.
I feel like this fellow maybe should talk to you about long-term care.
There's something, and then
funding
you can look
there.
into that. Yep, we can take portions of that and allocate it toward other stresses. Okay, I'm worried about, well, what if I need long-term care? Well, what if I pass away, is my spouse going to have enough money? It's
Right.
like, okay, we can look into doing different things, long-term care, life insurance, or maybe the goal is just legacy. How do I pass this 900 to the next generation as efficiently as possible? And again, that's
without giving a
conversation.
bunch to Uncle Sam, for heaven's sakes.
Right. If all that 900,000 is sitting in a 401k or an IRA, guess what? You don't have $900,000.
We got to tax that.
Yep, IRS owns a percentage of that. What percentage do they own? Well, it depends on the year, and they get to vote. So,
Right.
important to talk to someone.
Talk to someone. I'm glad that people have the gumption to reach out. It's great. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. You can give your questions to Stonebridge when you meet with them, and we kind of gather general ideas. We don't try to put a name or a face to anything. How about this? Somebody's thinking about downsizing, but after the realtor fees, moving costs, and realizing downsizing homes somehow still costs $650,000. They're wondering if staying put is smarter. How do retirees know when moving actually improves their retirement finances versus just creating expensive chaos?
I think that's, again, it comes back to having a plan and sitting down with somebody is so important, because there's a lot of math that we can sit there and do, whether you're staying in your area or you're moving to a different state or different city, different county, what have you. We're able to sit there and calculate, okay, well, what are your property taxes going to be on your current home for the rest of your life, likely? What about insurance? What about maintenance? What about, we can kind of forecast that out. And I'm assuming in this example, there's no mortgage. If there is, obviously the math changes, but
right.
Calculate, okay, what are the expenses of this current home going to be? And if it's, what have you, $20,000 a year, okay, that's our number. And if we downsize to a new home and our new expenses are $18,000 a year between insurance, taxes, so on and so forth, and we're paying a boatload of money in realtor fees and closing costs,
right,
moving to save us a little bit of money, probably not worth it.
I was thinking, if you buy something new, it's a new house and it's smaller. New houses, you still have to attend to things that weren't finished by the builder. This is my impression of buying a brand new house.
I've seen so many videos about new construction, and they're like, oh, you don't need an inspector. It's a brand new house. You almost need more of an inspector if it's a brand new house.
Right. And maybe you just want to, I don't know. It seems like staying in the family home is always a good idea, but that's not advice either. That's just my experience.
It just depends. I mean,
I know.
I've seen situations where it really is the best thing, where you own like a 6-bedroom house and it's an acreage and you're getting old. The kids moved out, so you don't need 6 bedrooms. You're having a hard time taking care of it. And like I have a client now, a couple, they're moving into one of those, like they kind of own the home, but they have like a really high maintenance cost because they don't mow, they don't do trash, they don't.
Homeowners Association, yes. Yeah,
they don't do any snow removal. They do nothing. But at their age, that's the goal. And we did the math. They're selling their, $700,000 house to buy a $250,000 house.
I get it. I've also seen people who bail on the house altogether and live in an apartment close by to the people. A luxury apartment. You sell $750,000 house that's paid off. You can get you a nice luxury apartment, and then you have no worries whatsoever.
Correct, except rising rent.
But I do see that a lot.
That's something we have to look at. I mean, for those of you listening, if you're nearing retirement, a little thought experiment, what was rent when you were in college?
Oh, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, ask your kids or grandkids what they're paying on rent today.
Oh, golly. All right, here's how to call Zach and play these games with him, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. That's it for our Retirement Compass radio show for this week. Zach, good show.
Always.